Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Stop them. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army.
Welcome to TLB TV, Eradicating Programmed Ignorance. And I am your host, Roger Landry, the founder of the Liberty Beacon Project. And today we have a special show. It's a little bit shorter than most of our shows, but it's something that I've been looking forward to doing for some time. As you know, we have a very large organization, all built on people who donate their time, okay? There are no paid staff in this global organization. And that makes us even that much more special to be able to maintain the websites we do across the planet and across the United States, covering many different topics and many different societies, and to do it with a totally volunteer staff. But as everybody knows, it's hard to maintain a volunteer staff because you really have they're not nailed down. If something can't happen or something, or if they can't accomplish something, it's not like you're paying them. So in order to put together a staff this large, to maintain a network this large on a global fashion, you have to have really dedicated people who honestly wish to be there to accomplish getting the word out, to accomplish letting people know what the truth is, to accomplish the eradication of programmed ignorance, which is the mission of the Liberty Beacon Project. Today, although she's been with the project for a little while, and she's been my co-host on several shows, today I'm going to do a show with this young lady for about 30 minutes where we're going to discuss what her life has been like, what her motivations are, why she's at the Liberty Beacon Project, and what she hopes to gain from being a very, very important member of the Liberty Beacon Project, because the individual I'm going to introduce to you today is our media director. Now, we state that we are a media-based organization, and we are. And we do podcast shows, and we do TLBTV shows, and we do websites, and we write articles, and the whole 9 yards. And it's all based on an outflow of media that is meant to eradicate all of the ignorance that has been programmed into society across this planet. Something I'm proud to say, we have been a part of a massive awakening, rippling not only across the United States, but indeed the globe. So when I tell you that this absolutely hyper-intelligent young lady is our media director, that is a position of extreme responsibility in this project. And the very, very few, I feel, especially in a volunteer status, could do that job adequately. I have so much to do that in trying to do that myself, which I have before she did arrive with us, I could not do the job adequately. But since Rebecca has taken over this position, we have seen a steady increase in the professionalism. We have seen a steady increase in the interest. We've seen a steady increase in those who contribute to our media on a regular basis in feedback of a positive fashion. So let me tell you who we're talking about here. We're talking about Rebecca L. Mahan. And she is a United States Marine Corps veteran and a police officer of over 10 years, or she was. She is a published author and had, been a long-running columnist for a community college newspaper. She has also been an award-winning radio show host and has produced, booked, and interviewed guests for her shows. Her education includes an associate's degrees in Christian Science, general education, general business management, and law enforcement. Also, she has a bachelor's degree in church ministry and occupational studies, vocational arts, master's degree in biblical studies. She also has is a certified mediator and event planner. Now, let's go over just a couple of those things before we invite her in. Event planner, mediator, okay, general education, business management, law enforcement, everything we need to put together in one place and one individual to come up with a sterling media director. And how are you today, Rebecca?
I am doing very well, Roger. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction.
Well, I did two things, and I never exaggerate, and I never ever lie, and people know that. I constantly, I don't challenge people to prove me wrong. I dare them to prove me wrong. And those two things were, one, I talked about you being extremely intelligent. That was extremely understated.
Oh,
You're one of the, you're an extremely intelligent individual, and your education shows that, and what you've accomplished in life shows that. And the second thing was, I called you young lady twice.
Yes.
I dare anybody, and let's see how much feedback we get on this, to guess your age, because they would all blow it. But you are younger than I am. I'm 62 years old, so I have the right to call you that. But you
and a
are,
lady never tells her age.
No. But we can say when they send in their guesses, right or wrong, or I refuse to answer that question.
How many jelly beans are in the jar?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's start this off by you telling this audience who you are. That's the first question. And once we get done with that, then let's go to the next question. But the first question, and when I say who are you, is what have you been through in life? What are your experiences? We know about your education, but you are a Marine veteran. You are also an ex, and I won't use the word law enforcement. I hate that. You are an ex-peace officer. And I can see from what I know of you, and we have been friends for a while, that you must have been outstanding at both of them. So give us a little bit of the history and tell us what life was like with Rebecca Mahan.
Well, I will start with after high school, since our high school days are, just kind of finding out who you are. But I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps Reserve in '88, and I went to boot camp in 1989. Very interesting time period, as many people know, because that was the precipice to the Gulf War. And I will share a little tidbit with you about boot camp that many people don't know is women Marines, otherwise known as WMs, also have makeup training in boot camp. And so if you see a female Marine who is wearing a scarlet cord around her arm, the lipstick is supposed to match that color. So red is pretty much standardized. And I have liked that color, by the way.
Well, hold on a second, because if you look
that.
right now, if you look at you right now, your lipstick matches your vest. So how much has this stuck with you over the years, huh?
Well, I do have the scarlet type red brick lip liner that is around and underneath. So it has stuck a long time. I have toned down some things a little bit, and certainly I have toned down the assertiveness that you have in the Marine Corps, because the pride is absolutely unbelievable. And it will never go away, but I don't have to be as squared off, if you will. But it did serve me very well as a police officer, and I did not go into the field of law enforcement while it was my first love, I did not go into that until a little bit later in life because I had become a district sales manager. Now, while I was in the Marine Corps Reserve, I was also doing loss prevention. So I was really honing down a lot of investigative skills and arrest skills and things like that. And there's many stories to tell just in loss prevention alone. However, I will say that at one point, the unit that I was stationed with in Pasadena, California, was activated, and we did not, I was in the motor T field, so I was a truck driver and a mechanic, and my unit did not go overseas, although there were other MOSs that were in the reserve unit. They did go over. We ended up at Yuma, Arizona, and replaced the Marines that were on active duty there, and so we stayed active duty for a little while during that time period. So I did serve during the Gulf time period, both Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I did not go overseas, but I am thankful for that. However, during that time, Roger, my pride was a little bit crushed.
1 second, okay? 1 second. Is yours there? Hold it up. See these? Okay? And you see the difference between the two? Rebecca had that one made up for herself. And then she made one up for me. And as you can see, I am the founder of the Liberty Beacon Project. So mine had to be special. When Rebecca ordered this, it had to have the big kahuna TLB on it. And I just received this today. And this, not only is she an intelligent lady, not only, as you can tell, is she a very attractive lady, but my God, look at this. Perfect. Thank you so much, my friend. And I apologize for interrupting, but I just had to let people see those. And hopefully one day soon you'll be able to purchase those at the TLB store. Please continue.
You are so welcome. So later on, I became a district sales manager for Avon Products, which was corporate. My job was to recruit, train, and help people succeed as independent sales representatives. So these skills, both military and in sales, really developed me very well for my position as a peace officer. And a little bit later on, I worked at a women's prison for a short period of time. And then I was picked up with a sheriff's department called Sutter County Sheriffs. And they are in Northern California. Something very interesting about the agency there is the deputies there are also deputy coroners. So that part of the position wasn't something that was real palatable, but it did give me a lot of experience. I later moved to Southern California and was hired with Miracosta College Police Department, where I was there for a little over 8 years. And I had an opportunity, Roger, to really reach out and help people. College level, you have a decision as to whether or not you want to be there. And so it was a great opportunity to be able to take the preconceptions and notions and negativity of what law enforcement is about and bridge it into something positive.
The stereotype.
Yes, yes. There is such a mold on those that are in that field, whether they're on the street, behind the desk. There is just a negative feeling. And most of us are programmed that when we look in our rearview mirror and we see an officer behind us, that we're doing something wrong, they're going to come after us. And that is not the case. If you are doing something wrong, an officer is probably going to stop you. However, sometimes we're just needing to get to a call for service, and we need to get there rather quickly, but unfortunately, the call doesn't warrant me to turn my lights and siren on. So I am waiting for you to move over so I can get going fast. But I'm retired now, and I've had an opportunity to fill my dream, and now I am doing something else that I have a huge passion for, and that is being with TLB and working in media. I found a couple of years ago when I was doing radio that it was absolutely something I love.
Okay, that leads me up to the next question here, okay? You know for a fact, because you've been around the Liberty Beacon for a while, this is actually your second stint with us. The first time you were with us for a short period of time, and then issues happened in your life that needed some attention, and then you came back to us, which was absolutely just, it made me happy. It really did. But you know what the Liberty Beacon Project is. You know that we don't pull punches. You know that above everything else, it is the truth. I don't care if the truth makes you feel bad. I don't care if the truth makes you angry. I don't care if the truth makes you, I don't know, if it makes you feel that other people are undeserving. It doesn't really matter. The truth has to be spoken.
Absolutely.
What we have is programmed ignorance. The entire project is built around the concept of eradicating programmed ignorance. You know that we speak to things that most other people would easily term, I don't know, tinfoil hat topics. We talk about geoengineering. We talk about vaccines. We talk about fluoride. We talk about perpetual warfare. We talk about elitist controlling the world. We talk about politicians who are running around with kids, pedophilia. Okay, we talk about these things that most people, it makes them uncomfortable to the point where they don't want to hear about it. They want to shut themselves away from it. They don't want to believe these things are going on in the world. These things are being perpetrated by their own government. These things are being perpetrated by the guy who lives next door. They just don't want to know, or if they do know, it makes them very uncomfortable. These are the hurdles we need to overcome. Your job is by far, I would say, the second most difficult job in this entire project. I won't give away the fact that I have the hardest job. You know what I do every single day.
I do.
Okay? But you have what is easily the second most difficult job in this entire project, yet you took it not only willingly, but you've thrived at it, and you've made changes that have made it a more professional and a more acceptable project. So
Thank you.
Why did you come back to the Liberty Beacon Project? Why did you accept a job that you knew was going to be harrying, okay, as the media director? And what do you see, without giving away any secrets, and you know what I'm talking about, what do you see in the Liberty Beacon Project in the future?
What I like about TLB is integrity and truth. This is a value that I stand by. It is a motto in the Marine Corps. It is something in law enforcement that you have to have. And I have had that ingrained in me probably since birth, because I just have that characteristic, and it is of extreme importance to me. And so this is predominantly why I'm with TLB. Why did I come back? Because the entire project is something that I have a passion for, and that is truth. People need to know the things that are out there so that they can make informed choices about things in life, not only that are going to pertain to them, but things that are going to pertain to future generations. And a lot of times people go through life and they think, you know, it's really not affecting me, so why do I need to know? Or, you know, I'm so sick of that. And we do need to know what's going on. We need to be abreast of key issues and how it is going to affect us, because certain things that have to do with EPA standards or chemicals or biopharmaceuticals, those are things that are going to affect the entire population. And if we do not know about them, we can't protect ourselves.
You know that I just made up a meme that got a whole lot of attention with the children across the top. I think I showed it to you, okay? And basically what it says is geoengineering, environmental toxins, biotoxins, vaccines, fluoride, Wi-Fi radiation, Fukushima radiation. We now have scientists stating that our children will be the first generation that will not live as long as their parents did.
And this is really, yeah, this is really sad, Roger. I just think that this is something that we do need to keep abreast of. And for those that say, well, you know, that doesn't affect me and all my kids live around me. Well, there is potential for them to move across country into a place that is going to have an effect from some of the things that are happening. So we don't know. We don't know exactly where or when something is going to be applicable to us, but at least if we are at the very, very least knowledgeable on the surface about different issues, we would know where to go to obtain information to make informed choices. And I don't want to knock a lot of agencies that are out there because I think that they started with good intentions. The problem is that over time, these things that have started to come about have become, some of them frivolous, some of them geared towards money specifically, which is a huge problem when we're talking about things that are being made that we're going to consume or be exposed to.
Any government organization, any government or organization left to its own devices shall eventually accumulate power, wealth, and influence unto itself at the expense of those they have supposed to serve. This is a fact. It's not a guess. And history has shown that over and over and over again.
Yes, and you know, one example would be Social Security, which I have been hearing for, I don't know, probably 5-10 years, however long it's been, that it won't be around when I'm eligible to collect it. The age keeps getting, you know, pushed back to a later date in life, so you can't collect or things like that. But something I heard here a year or two ago was that, and I did the research on this and found that it was fact, that a person that I was talking, I'll just give you the story. A person that I was talking to indicated that their mother had passed away and the family was dealing with the house and that the government was seizing the house. Do you know where I'm going with this? And the reason why was because at one point the mother had some type of illness that required hospitalization, and she was on Medicare or Medicaid, and later on, when she was deceased, the government wanted their money back for that expense of the hospital, and that was coming out of the house, and pretty much was almost as much as the house was worth. And I really don't know how much the house was or anything like that. But the issue was they weren't going to be able to get the house because the government was going to seize that to repay for the hospital expense.
Because she had drawn benefits prior to a point in her life where she was eligible to draw benefits.
So,
which is 65, 62 for early draw at a reduced rate, 65 for full.
So this is interesting. Most Americans don't know out there, even those who are very, very educated, that, well, if you use a government benefit, there's a possibility that you're going to have to repay that. I don't believe that that's told when you go into apply for different benefits. And even if it is, maybe it's in the fine print or it's told to you when you're at a point where you really don't have an alternative choice, and so you're going to do it anyway. You're going to take the benefit and worry about the repercussions later. The problem is that trickles out into having other people affected by this as well, like the children. So
you're talking about you're giving a good example of what we call programmed ignorance. There are much more stark examples that most people aren't aware of. I could say a few things right now that would literally shock the audience, and actually I will. Okay, again, listen to me. I say this on every show. I'm not going to challenge you to prove what I'm about to say wrong. I dare you to prove what I'm about to say wrong. Did you know it is illegal for you to vote in federal elections? You're committing treason when you vote in federal elections. Because of the Act of 1871, and I won't get too deep into this, I promise, Rebecca. Because of the Act of 1871, the United States doesn't exist anymore. It's now a corporation, and it is ruled by a 10 square mile piece of land, which is a foreign entity called Washington, D.C. None of this is a joke. And I can prove this over and over and over again. So, via the Constitution, if you vote in a federal election which is supporting a foreign government, which is Washington, D.C., which is what rules this country, it's a corporate entity, you are committing treason against the United States government. So every time the government tells you to vote, they are encouraging you to commit treason. Now, see, these are the things people don't want to know, Rebecca. They just don't want to know that. They don't want to know that the United States ceased being a constitutional republic in 1871, where Congress sold us to the highest bidders, people we call the elitists, the Rothschilds and the banksters of the world. Anybody who thinks the United States is a constitutional republic, you're wrong. It is a corporation wholly owned by banks and the Rothschild family. Not a joke. So now I'm telling you, you live in a corporation, not a constitutional republic. And now I'm telling you, when the government encourages you to vote, they're encouraging you to commit treason. Both of these are true. And if this is the first time you've ever heard of that, welcome to the Liberty Beacon Project. Now you know why I say, you know what you got yourself in for, Rebecca? But I think you do.
I do. And I know that there's a lot of things out there. In fact, I have a year of law school. Just that first year alone.
What don't you have? Come on, girl.
Just that first year alone was another big eye-opener for me, because not only do we have penal code statutes, and I knew there was civil code, but some of the statutes that are on the books are unbelievable. And just about anything that we do, there is something on the books. But what's very interesting is if, for example, you go to court and you are trying to defend your case and you say, well, I didn't know. Ignorance is no excuse. So we are supposed to know things, and while some of them are things that we don't want to know and we get so overwhelmed with them, we need to think about the things that are pretty major and life-changing and life-altering, and the things that the Liberty Beacon exposes are things that we do need to know. When I first came to you and I was doing radio, I came to you because the network that I was with, unfortunately, did not hold the same values to the standard of which I hold my own self to. And so I decided to stop my show with that particular network. And I wanted a network that was going to be held accountable and allow me to be able to also help people at the same time. And I was referred to, of course, you.
Well, I really appreciate that. One more thing, one more little scary fact that you brought into my mind, and then I promise I'll get off of that because we're going to wrap this up pretty quick.
Sure.
I already told you about the fact you don't live in a constitutional republic. I also told you that you commit treason every time you vote in a federal election. Did you also know that the Constitution gave us a court system which was based on common law?
Yes, it's based on common law.
Right. Did you know that these elitists, once they had taken over the country, switched our legal system to maritime law? There is no such thing as a court. Any federal court is illegitimate in this country. It has no standing in the Constitution. All of these courts take their orders from Washington, D.C., which is a foreign power. The entire federal court system in this country is illegitimate and holds no power at all over the American people. Most people don't know that. So there's 3 big facts for anybody who doesn't know what the Liberty Beacon Project's about. Take that and multiply it times 10,000, because these are 3 facts of many. But do me a favor. I want you to go one more place, and then we promised people this was going to be about 30 minutes. And you know I could talk forever. This is what I do. So what I'd like you to do is tell everybody you are the media director now, not me. And reassure people out there that I don't step on your toes, and I don't come in and tell you what you can and can't do. You are the director of media here, and that is your department. So tell people what you expect to see, what you want to see, what your wishes and dreams are for the Liberty Beacon Project, especially the media portion of it as we go off into the future.
Well, first, I want to share with viewers that the project that you see before you, TLBTV, the Liberty Beacon, all of the contributions that are made by writers, all of this as a whole is beginning to grow, and it's going to places that many people are not going to expect, and we're going to blow them out of the water. This is an absolutely incredible network. And as the media director, I would like to see that those persons out there who have a passion to share something, that they become involved either as writers, contributors, maybe even broadening to the scope of having their own television show. This is really important. We're going places, and your message can be heard here. And it is unbelievable the amount of viewers and readership that we have. And the last that we spoke, Roger, you were indicating that we're getting somewhere around 60,000 a day from Facebook alone. This is,
wait a minute, that's only one Facebook page, 60,000 viewership audience over the course of a day. But you have to also consider, everybody else listening, and I promise this will be short, Rebecca, we have 12 websites that belong to us. We have about 20 partner websites, plus we have our audio and our visual media. This is global. These partners are global. Our proprietary sites are global. Yes, the biggest focus is on the United States, because where goes America goes a majority of the world. But this is truly an organization with a global footprint. And please continue.
So I would like to see, the goal would be to obviously expand the media department so that we can bring breaking news, so that we can debunk conspiracies and go by with what we call conspiracy facts here, because everything is fact checked. And if there is something that we can't confirm or that isn't aligned with the things that are vetted, it's not going up. And so this is the 2 goals that I have for media, and that is expansion and then growing this out to the wider global audience of those who have not heard about TLB yet, but really getting in, breaking stories and debunking conspiracies. That means uncovering truth. Are you still there, Roger?
Where do you see, you know what, sometimes I do so much media, it's crazy. You do have to remember to unmute your mic. But where do you see, final question, this project in 5 years? Now that's without giving away, because you've already alluded to the fact that there's some huge things on the horizon, and there are. But without giving that away, jump over implementation of, we won't talk about, and where do you see, and be honest about it, take those things into account. Where do you see the Liberty Beacon Project in 5 years?
I see this being as big as some of the networks that people call major networks.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. And the thing of it is, you are more in tune to the details of these projects that we cannot talk about at this point, but are and these aren't just concepts at this point. These are well developed and soon to be launched projects. So
Yes.
we're talking about a major shift. Let me expound on that just a little bit. In 5 years, I see the Liberty Beacon Project, and everybody knows me. I do not exaggerate. I do not lie. In 5 years, I see the Liberty Beacon Project as the largest source of truly independent media on the planet, unquestioned. That's what I see. And I'm not barking up a hollow tree here. I'm just not. Okay? Look, Rebecca, it has been great to have you here. It was long past due that we get you on and we tell everybody who you're going to be. I have one more question for you. Please tell everybody, and then of course point to what's behind you. Tell everybody about your new show, because not only are you my co-host on Eradicating Programmed Ignorance, but you're about to launch your own show. So let's talk about that just for a couple of seconds so that people understand this is coming.
I am. It's Rebecca Sounds Reveille. Reveille is your sound, your wake-up call that you get when you're in the military. And so Reveille was very apropos, meaning it's time to wake up. So my show is going to encompass my passion, which is helping others. And also it's going to encompass the truths that are within what we're finding here at TLB. So you'll have a varied show from week to week, and there may be authors, there may be counterintelligence agents, there may be, who knows? But the whole idea is helping other people get their message out there. And sometimes they're not ready to write. Sometimes people are just wanting to talk and get their voice heard and exposed. And it can be on a number of different topics. But that is the ultimate goal, is to wake up, to have people wake up to something that maybe they didn't know about, or I can go a little bit more in depth on. So that's the show.
Well, I remember the show when you were doing it. Like I said, you were with us for a short period of time a while back, and it was an absolutely phenomenal show. And I know that it's bigger, better, faster now. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that launch very soon. I know you've already got a couple of shows recorded and in the can and ready to go.
They are.
So we needed to get this show out first. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. It was an extreme pleasure to present you to the Liberty Beacon Project. And thank you so much for being here. And for everybody who was watching and listening, please understand, our mission is the eradication of programmed ignorance. If you think the fact that you don't know some of the things I was talking today is your fault, if you think a lot of the things you don't know are because you're not inquisitive enough, no, my friends. Most of this stuff is intentionally kept from you. It is the mission of the Liberty Beacon Project to not just to eradicate ignorance, to eradicate programmed ignorance. And for that, we have, and I salute you, my friend, our new media director, Rebecca Mahan.
And thank you so much, Roger, for everything that you do for me and everything that you do for our global audience.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.